Hey everyone, this is Alex Delecta, and this is Dungeons and Dragons and Drawing. And I'm here with my good friend Libby Sanders talking about her character.
Tana Kulenow, she thought she was human, a rogue who ended up being more than human, I guess.
What was life for her growing up?
She grew up moving around a lot, actually, because she was always told her father died before she was born, so it was just her and her mother. And she would typically have to steal to feed the two of them because her mother was sick a lot. And I think when she was about 11, 12, 13-ish, they were in Nosbo, and she stole from someone who actually caught her and returned her to her mom and was basically like, hey, your kid's a thief. Maybe you should do something about that. And her mom was like, yeah, I mean, this is all we have. And so they kind of sparked up a friendship and a relationship, and that man ended up becoming her stepfather, and she has, really sweet little half siblings, I guess it would be, that we actually met in the campaign, who were really cute and really fun. But yeah, she grew up, having to be kind of a street thief, street urchin-y type, and then growing up, once she got to Nosbo, she was a young teen, and I think felt a lot of still kind of that urge to steal, and so she would break into homes and rob them. And on her way out of one of those is where she meets Yuri, who she quickly becomes involved with, a fellow thief who she ends up marrying at the ripe old age of, I think it was 17, 18, 19. She was really young. And so they are married, they're very much in love, it's the first time she feels understood and seen by someone, and it's one of those where I'm sure wasn't the happiest moment for her mother, but seeing her daughter happy and probably a little more grounded was a good thing. And then that all went sour when, during a robbery, guards shot and killed her husband in what she thought was a crossbow bolt meant for her that killed her husband. She actually then stuck around to kill the guards, and that's when she gets carted off to jail, which ends up being how she meets the rest of the gang, because when the war is going on, they are looking for soldiers, and a ticket out of jail is signing up for the army, so she does that. And that's kind of where we find her at the start of the campaign. Her stepfather definitely was a good man and tried, but also recognized that this isn't his kid and he can't. I think there was a hesitance to overstepping coming from him. And I think her mother and her were very close. They were the only two for a very long time. The question of who her father is never was super on her mind. I think there was probably a sense of he's passed away, mom doesn't like to talk about it, so I'm not going to ask her. Which, of course, turns out how it turns out, but... She had a sibling born. I think it's one of those where she was like, I don't know where I belong in all this, I'm kind of going to branch out. And I feel like it's one of those situations where her stepfather and her mother are like, we're not going to push you too much. We know that'll probably end badly, so we're going to give you the space you need. And so I think just feeling sort of out of sorts with where she belongs in that family, in addition to meeting someone who, she felt pretty well matched with, led to her feeling more independent and kind of breaking away from her family, still staying, in the city and very close to them, but kind of striking it out on her own. Went to jail when she would have been 22, because I specifically remember being like, she's 27, when our campaign starts, because I was like, 27's an adult, that's old, and now I'm like, you dumb little baby. So she had three step or half siblings, two little boys, Kartik and Borin, and then a little sister, Lorena, who they were all quite a bit younger. And I think it's one of those relationships where, like, she was around when they were, like really little and then was in jail for 5 years and so kind of missed out on part of their growing up. But I feel like very much tries to be like the cool older sister who like brings them cool presents and like has cool stories to tell them and sneaks them, like candy and stuff even after their dad's like, you don't need that. And she's like, no, I'm going to give it to them anyways. They're fine. Part of her backstory as well is that prior to Yuri being killed, she'd never killed anyone. So I think she's someone that doesn't mind, like clearly throughout the campaign doesn't mind killing people. But I think there's an element of like when she was starting out, she just didn't want to hurt people any more than she had to, kind of a necessity type thing. And then I think part of her like sneaking around and being able to kind of go incognito is like having weapons hidden on her that maybe nobody knows about or nobody can see, So definitely an element of sneakery, and also I feel like it's one of those where she's like, this is my aesthetic and I've decided on it and I'm sticking with it no matter what. She's got a dead husband that she's very much hung up on. She's got her mother dies while she's in prison. I think that really kind of messes her up, because I think we meet her when the campaign starts in a place where it's like two of the most important people in her life have both died and she's feeling very alone, and then she meets these people that, pretty quickly they all start clicking and getting along, and she's like, oh, okay, I can find more people, I guess now I'm attached to these guys. So I think it's sort of, I think she sort of starts off very lonely and then finds her place in the group pretty quick, which I think is fun and, hopefully kind of a good thing.